Hi everyone, welcome back to the US CPA classes for regulation exam. In this particular video of US individual taxation gross income, which is part 7, we are going to cover cryptocurrency and we'll do some practice question also. Let's dive into to understand more in detail about cryptocurrency and let's do some practice question as well. Cryptocurrency and non-business bad debt. Okay, so let's finish off these two topics. So cryptocurrency, any idea what is cryptocurrency?
Yes, it's like Bitcoin and all. It's not recognized by the government
Mm-hmm.
now.
There is a
Yeah.
digital currency, but
Mhm.
it is recognized in United States and some of the European state as well. But
Mm-hmm.
India, it is not yet been formalized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other thought?
And it's not like paper currency or check
Mm-hmm.
that we normal traditional we are using.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly it is being used for digital payments and
Mm-hmm.
as well as an investment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else?
Now, an important thing, even though in India it is not been considered as a legal tender currency, but gain and out of it has been considered as a taxable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is
Mm-hmm.
tax.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone have any idea what is blockchain technology?
So blockchain is the technology which gives you more encryption, and in terms of transparency, is real time, and anybody can update data. Whatever I am updating, you can understand and you can see and watch in real time on the same time. And it can't be changed. Means whatever has been written there, it can't be changed. This is a
Mm-hmm.
basic algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
So this cryptocurrency is also virtual currency, which is based on blockchain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So basically, blockchain was introduced to make international transaction more faster without the
Mm-hmm.
involvement of intermediaries, banks,
Mm-hmm.
and the formalities that goes through filing of document, providing of all those things, and as well as to increase the security of the information from the sender and buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, even if I am going to make a payment or transaction and I need to make a payment and in a faster way, I can block a transaction and anyone in the transaction chain can go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and release and realize the payment
Mm-hmm.
without having my confidential information shared to the passerby or in
Mm-hmm.
between chain people.
Mm-hmm.
And it is impossible to, hack or maybe change or manipulate the data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I think more or less you guys have like idea about both the things, cryptocurrency and blockchain. But before getting into it, like I would like to take you back to some earlier days and maybe start with some like theory part of it. So if you remember, like in earlier days, like all the transaction, the businesses were majority of those transactions were on barter system, right? So that means one person is giving some, something, and in exchange, he or she would be receiving something. Like majority of the barter earlier days was based on like grains kind of thing, right? And then after, if you see the kings and rajas, they have started making their coins, which is like gold coin, silver coin, or maybe other metal coins, right? Then we started doing commercial transaction through the coins, right? Then after, like the Britisher have came and they have done like rule over us, and they have come up with this paper currency, right? So then we all have started using paper currency, and slowly gradually, Reserve Bank of India has been formed, right? Same way, like in all country they have like Reserve Bank. So maybe Reserve Bank of United States of America, Reserve Bank of Canada, Reserve Bank of Australia, so on and so forth, right? And do you know how Reserve Bank actually issue the currency? Any idea you have?
Based on the gold reserve.
Yeah, based on the gold, metals, bullions, reserves, right? So, whatever the paper currency which Reserve Bank issue, they always have the underlying asset, which is like gold, bullions, metals, and other kind of precious metals, basically, right? And then after, the slowly and gradually, if you see, after in the 19th century or like early 20th century, we all started using, debit cards, credit cards, right? If you see in 1990s to 2010, or I would say 2015, majority of us have started making transaction through plastic money, right? And after that, there was a day which I'm sure like each one of you still remember, is 8th November 2016. Like one day, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he come and announced that today after 12, this 500 and 1,000 notes will not be accepted. Like it's kind of what do you call it? I'm missing the term.
Legal bond. It will not be considered legal bond.
Legally
Yeah,
tendered.
yeah. So those legal tenders are being cancelled, and sorry, I'm missing the word. What we call it? Demonetization, right, of the currency. So immediately you might have seen there are so many companies like ATM, Bharat Pay, Google Pay, MobiPay, so on and so forth. They immediately start popping up, and we all have started using more and more UPI transaction, right? So that's another way of making the transaction through the wallets, basically, right? But if you see in all these transitions, which was like earlier barter system, then after coin system, then after paper currency, then after plastic currency, then after wallets, we always had some underlying asset, right? There was always be an underlying asset which is being managed and maintained by the respective reserve banks. But you won't believe it, in 2010, they have started these companies in the name of like Bitcoin, right? Same way like many other countries have started this Litcoin and maybe other different names of the coin, right? Initially, this was not new actually. So they have started back in 2000 as in the gaming industry, that like the kids used to play the video games and they used to earn the coins, and from that coins they were used to do trade within the game. But slowly and gradually, those kids have started accepting it as a mode of transaction, right? And these companies have also expanded it to consider these as a mode of transaction currency. But on the other side, if you see across the globe, none of these, like digital currency maker have any underlying asset. So they do not have any gold reserve, bullion reserves, or metal reserve, nothing. So it's, like no backing at all, if you see, to be very honest with you. But on the other side, like the generation have started accepting this as a mode of transaction. So that's very different scenario, or I would say, different situation, which none of us or any of the government has ever thought about it, to be very honest. And most of the government from last 10 years is facing this issue, that people are making transaction, earnings money, or doing the transaction, doing the commercial as well from this transaction. And everyone nowadays in a race to make it more into the regulatory framework, right? So before the respective government will make their own regulatory framework, what is the most important for the government is the collection of taxes, right? Whether it's India or US or any other country, right? For the government, main source of revenue is always be collection of taxes. So what they say, like normally in any government, if you see any country, you will see whether the income is white income black income, or maybe like like any category of income. For them, it's an income, and the person who is making the income, he or she has to pay taxes on it. So for them, it does not make any difference whether it's a legal income, illegal income, or maybe white income or black income. So immediately, like all the respective country have started considering this as a taxable event or taxable activity or commercial activity in the purview of tax law. Even though other regulatory framework they are still working upon, but they do not want to miss anything on the tax part, because tax is the major source of revenue from the government standpoint of view. So that's how it has been passed into the TCJA bill 2017 to consider the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, or any such kind of coin currency transaction as a taxable income. So that's like the behind the story, behind the scenes story. But on the other hand, you will see like almost like in US and many of the developed nation, the people have started accepting these currency and they have started using it as a normal currency. You won't believe it, like in Amazon, you can purchase by redeeming your cryptocurrency. And like employer have started giving cryptocurrency as an incentive or commissions or bonuses, or instead of ESOP, they have started giving cryptocurrency. So it has been reached to that level now, right? So whatever the mechanism that respective government would be making for regulating this industry, that they all are trying their level best. But on the other side, from the tax perspective, everyone is very much clear. If somebody is making any money, he or she has to pay taxes on it, right? So that's how all the cryptocurrency transaction has to be considering tax. But there are certain exception to it that we'll be discussing. So one part of it, how this entire like journey of the cryptocurrency have started, and what is their status in the respective countries, respective laws. The second leg of it is a blockchain technology, right? So all these cryptocurrencies are being using or I would say prevalent across the globe is because of the technology which they have used is a blockchain technology. I know some of you have shared your thoughts on the blockchain technology, and most of you are absolutely right as well. So just for the benefit of everyone, I can quickly summarize what blockchain technology is. So the blockchain technology is basically from the inception to the end. So at every moment of any particular product or service or transaction, there is an independent unique block is being created, right? That is called a blockchain, and each block is being attached to the previous block, and this chain keep on increasing, right? For example, if I say like back in 2021, if I give you a practical example, so this Haryana government, like deputy CM, like he, some of his known like from the finance side, he reached out to me that in Haryana government, in Haryana there is a big problem of unauthorized liquor manufacture, and that is resulting into loss of life of many people in the state. And Haryana government is being serious how we can make this into like a controlled environment. So then, like we have given them a suggestion to implement the blockchain technology in this overall liquor manufacturing and distribution ecosystem, right? So, like how we have given them a suggestion to implement the blockchain technology in the entire liquor manufacturing and distribution channel is when you are sourcing. So, like like what are your source in Haryana? There are four ways to make the liquor basically. So one is like the grapes. Second is this what you called sugar canes. Third is wheat, and fourth is rice. These are like main sources from which like liquor is being manufactured in India, in Haryana, right? So they know like what are the authentic source from where they need to do the sourcing for those authorized company who can manufacture the liquor in Haryana, right? So at that point of time when they are sourcing, they can create a block. And after that, when it goes to the raw material, so there would be additional block need to be created. And from raw material store, when it go to the floor for production. So for different category of liquor manufacturing, require different number of process, right? It's ranging from 13 to almost 40 processes for respective category of liquors to be manufactured, right? So for each process, when it is moving from one process to another process, so there has to be a separate block need to be created. And then finally, when it is reaching to the finished goods, so there should be a separate block which is being attaching, keep on attaching to the previous block. And then when it moved from FG to the warehouses, there should be a block, and from warehouses to the distributor, and to the distributor to the retailer. And then from the retailer to the shopkeeper, and from shopkeeper when a consumer is receiving. So when consumer is receiving, so for his understanding or ease of understanding, we can put a QR code that consumer can scan that code and see from where the raw material has been sourced, and what which company has sourced that, what all process this liquor which I'm consuming is being passed through, and then finally to which distributor it has been gone, and from which distributor it has been reached to the retailer resellers, and from which reseller it is coming to this shop. And then finally what I'm consuming is an authorized liquor, or you can say the legal liquor or not, right? So that kind of solution we have shared to them, and I'm not sure whether they have implemented or not. But on the other side, I know, I think Rakesh or maybe Prakash was sharing example for banking. It is like one of the safest mode. So absolutely true, the blockchain technology is the safest mode for transaction available on earth currently. So you won't believe it, like the Reserve Bank of India has given a hard cut, or you can say hard deadlines to all the banks to ensure by 31st March 2026 that all the transactions the respective bank should be making through the blockchain technology. So for like the ease of transaction will also increase, plus the security of transaction will exponentially increase. If you see, I don't know like how many of you have experienced any financial fraud. By any chance, any of you have experienced any financial fraud, or your family member?
Not a fraudster, but I invested in crypto only, and
Hmm.
the currency was vanished from the
Yeah,
platform.
yeah. It happened with me also. Like back in 2016, I think, yeah, I purchased like the cryptocurrency for 1 lakh rupees. And
Or
I don't know when I purchased, after that it started sinking. And finally, in 10, 15 days, it reached to 28,000 rupees. So I withdraw at 28,000 rupees, and I book a loss of 72,000 rupees. Right. But on the other side, recently this financial frauds and scam has exponentially increased in our nation, and same way in like US also, right? And you won't believe it. It's about like last week only. Yeah, I can share an instance. Like all of my team member have received an email that I need 45,000 rupees. Request you to pay on this link immediately, right? And the email went from like my email ID, which is like a fake email ID, because like what do you call, like we have kamal.chhabra@kcglobal.com. So instead of kcglobal.com, it was something else, which is like a fake domain, I would say so. But the name was kamal.chhabra, some fake domain was there. And it went to all the employees of our organization. And you won't believe it, unfortunately, one girl, she has clicked on that link and paid 45,000. Right? These financial scams are increasing. And you won't believe it, like it's about 7 8 months back. So my dad like has his pension account in the PNB, right? And his account got empty, just by clicking a wrong button on his mobile or clicking on some wrong link. And it's been almost 8 months. We have done a lot of complaint in cybercrime, cyber cell, but nothing is moving, to be very honest with you. So these financial scams are day by day increasing a lot. So this blockchain technology will protect those financial scams and lock by making it more highly encryption, as well as you can say unique code which is created on each unique block is, it's very hard to break by any hacker as well, right? So this is about, like the high level. First we discuss about like understanding what is cryptocurrency, how it is coming, how it is working, why the tax maker are being so serious about it, and on the other side what technology they are using so that they are expanding their business across the globe. Right? So hope, like high level conceptually you all understood the concept. Yes or no? Shall I
Yes,
move?
sir.
Right? So now let's look at the theory part. So cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, BNB, Truthers, right? All these are virtual currencies basically. So the cryptocurrency is a specific type of virtual currency that use cryptography, right, to validate the secure transaction. And cryptography is backed by blockchain technology, right? That are digitally recorded on a distributed ledger or record keeper. It is being recognized and validated with the blockchain technology. Individual block make up the blockchain and contain information about the transaction, which include the date, time, dollar amount of the transaction, and the block also include the information about the transacting party via their digital signatures, right? And each block has a capacity to hold thousands and thousands transactions, right? So that is how each block is unique and informative, right? So blockchain technology identify and validate the digital currency at each stage under the highly secured environment, right? So in following situation, virtual currency transaction are considered as taxable transaction. And after that, there are certain exception in which virtual currency transaction is not considered as taxable transaction. The first one is when you're selling the virtual currency for US dollar. So it is considered as sale of currency and you are, you are generating cash. Second is exchanging one type of virtual currency for another type of virtual currency. For example, if you are selling Bitcoin and purchasing Litecoin. Third is mining of virtual currency. When you are investing the virtual currency or when you are holding the virtual currency for appreciation, right? And when you are selling at that point of time, whatever the gain is happening, so that gain is considered as taxable. Fourth is receiving the virtual currency for services rendered, compensation reward at the fair market value at the time of receipt, right? Which I was telling you earlier. Nowadays, company have started giving the virtual currency to their employee, right? So it may be in place of ESOP, or it may be in place of incentive. It may be in the place of commissions or the bonuses. Now many companies have started giving, right? So in that case of scenario, you need to consider the income will be the fair market value of the virtual currency received, right? So that will be taxable in the hand of person who is received. So these are the four scenarios when virtual currency is being considered as taxable income. Right? Now let's understand when virtual currency transaction do not affect the taxable income of individual. Right? So buying the virtual currency from US dollar and holding the virtual currency. That means you purchase the virtual currency and you are holding it and not making a transaction. Second is sending the virtual currency from one wallet to another wallet. For example, you have Paytm and you have Google Pay. So you are transferring some money from Google Pay to Paytm. So it's still within your pocket, right? So hence it is just considered as a transfer of fund, but not the commercial transaction. Third is gifting of virtual currency. If you are gifting any virtual currency, it does not consider or not result into any taxable income. Fourth is when you are gifting virtual currency as a charitable contribution. When you are giving virtual currency as a charitable, right? Then it is not taxable in your hand, but the institute which is receiving the charitable contribution, he or she need to record at a fair market value, right? So how taxpayer should report capital gain or taxable income on virtual currency? Fair market value of the goods or services purchased from virtual currency minus the prices paid in US dollar to buy the virtual currency may result into capital gain or loss or the ordinary income or loss. So let's do an illustration for this. For example, uh, Mr. X, Mr. A has purchased 5 Bitcoin at the rate of 100 each, right? So what is the cost he has? $500, right? And each on January 1, 2023, right? Let's assume January 1, 2023, Mr. A has purchased 5 Bitcoin for $100 each. So the total value of the Bitcoin he has is $500. On October 31st, 2023, Mr. A has redeemed 5 Bitcoins to purchase an AC of $1,000, right? So the transaction is $1,000, right? On which date? October 31st, right? Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Right? So here, the AC which you are purchasing has a value of $1,000, and the Bitcoin which you have purchased on 1st January, the cost is $500, right? So this $1,000 minus $500 will be a gain on
Mm.
exchange of virtual currency,
Right.
right? So if that is virtual currency is being used for the ordinary business, it will result into ordinary income and loss. If it is for the purchase of capital asset, then it may result into capital gain or loss, right? So this is what it means. Fair market value of the goods or services purchased, which is $1,000, minus the price paid for USD for purchase of virtual currency. So it will give you the capital gain or loss or business income or loss as the case. Clear? Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So cryptocurrency can be taxed either as capital gain or loss or ordinary business income or loss based on the category of asset considered by the buyer, right? If you are using it to purchase the inventory, it will result into ordinary income. If you are using it to purchase the assets, fixed asset, then it may result into a capital gain. If the taxpayer does not appropriately consider the gain or loss on or income or loss in his or her tax return for cryptocurrency, then he or she will be liable for tax penalty and interest, and it could subject to criminal proceedings as well, right? So it is being required as a tax consultant. This is also we should be asking to the client whether you have any income from cryptocurrency or any loss from cryptocurrency, right? So that we need to consider in his or her income, right? Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Second thing we discuss about charitable donation. When you are giving this cryptocurrency as a charitable donation, right? In that case of scenario, what you need to do? So charitable donation of cryptocurrency to a qualified charitable institution, the taxpayer should not recognize gain, income or losses from donation. So it is not your income, gain or losses, loss when you are donating. But the charitable institution who is receiving, how they need to value it, right? When the cryptocurrency is held for more than 1 year by the donor, then fair market value at the time of donation. If the cryptocurrency holding period is less than 12 months, then equal to or lesser of the basis of cryptocurrency, that means at which that cryptocurrency is purchased, or the fair market value of cryptocurrency at the time of donation. So whichever is lower. Clear? So far, so good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And 1099K need to be issued if the transaction in virtual currency is more than $600 or there were more than 200 transactions. Right? And now there are certain compliances which you need to ensure when there is a cryptocurrency transaction. So form 1040, on the face of it, line 1, if it is for wages or compensation, if it is capital gain or loss, then line 6 you need to report. Right? Schedule 1, which is like additional income and adjustment to income. So if you are recording other incomes, right, then in line number 8, you need to provide the detail of cryptocurrency income. If you are using cryptocurrency as a charitable donation, and that for that donation you wanted to take itemized deduction, then in schedule A, line number 12, you'll be providing the detail, right? If you have interest income, reward income in the form of cryptocurrency, then you need to provide the detail in schedule B. And if you have business income or losses, then you need to provide the detail in schedule C, which is part 1, which is line 1 and line 2. If you have any capital gain or loss, then you need to provide the detail in schedule D. And then lastly is the sale and other disposition of capital asset. So then you need to submit the form 8949. So for cryptocurrency related detail, you need to provide in the respective schedule, which is an attachment to 1040. Clear, everyone? Any doubt on cryptocurrency?
No, sir.
Right? So today we have finished all the category of income. Then after we have finished 3 categories of income: passive income, installment income, and the cryptocurrency, right? So remaining income and exclusion from gross income will be covering tomorrow. Right? Any doubts so far? So I have shared all these notes which we'll be covering tomorrow also. So you can go through the notes, and if you have any doubt, so tomorrow first thing we can take up. And tomorrow class will be routine, which is 11 a.m.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir.